by the pine. Headed to the club in the boss top down.
What is up, guys? We're going to be watching these patch notes right now. I know this video is coming out a little late, but it's just because I was kind of busy. But, man, so far it's crazy. I'm going to enjoy the 2v2 mode and going to make some video content on that. Well, let's see if these patches
let's
are...
do this.
Patch notes
for
this title update. So let us start with, I think, somebody that people have been asking for a little bit.
What's that?
Some Sohei.
Sohei!
Oh, here we go.
Hey.
So just to go over them, but
Over
basically the
it.
philosophy we're going with Sohei is the hero's been out for a little bit. We've gotten a lot of feedback. We've been looking at the data quite a bit as well.
So I
And
can...
what we've, the conclusion we came to is that the restrictions that we put on Sohei initially, right, where you had to do light or heavy, that was very intentional in a way that we wanted to create a hero that felt a little bit different, but also that was more reminiscent of like older heroes, getting to a bit of that nostalgia aspect a bit, but also because we want to be really conservative with how you
so
gain
now he
souls,
can
how you
actually
get access
attack
to
into
your,
his
to your-
other
to your,
stuff.
like
Like I can do light,
So
unblockable,
the idea here is
heavy, light
opening
now too.
up Sohei's
How does that work?
flow
Yeah.
to make that work better. Now, this is the first time we're trying this. The mic is not working well.
Sorry.
So I have a better mic now, I'm hoping. I don't know how much got cut out, but basically, yeah. So we want to change Sohei's flow so that works a little bit better. I'll get rid of this. Thank you. All right. So Sohei's flow, yeah. So we wanted to make sure that it flows a little bit better. It's more interesting, works better. So really, like what we've been doing is, so now the opener
I like
lights,
that.
including dodge attacks, can now chain into heavy soul attacks. Same for heavy openers, they can go into chain light soul attacks. So from front dodge, side dodge, whatever you're doing, the follow-ups to your bash, everything goes into anything there. So that's great.
Nice.
Mad Monk can now also chain to Mad Monk extender, so you can go funny helicopter zone. Great. We've also changed the chain link timing to all heavy soul attacks from Mad Monk and Mad Monk extender. We've shortened it by 1 frame. And so what that means is that before, when you did Mad Monk
That's
into a heavy
interesting.
soul finisher, heavy soul attack rather, what ended up happening is that if your opponent mashed a light, they would trade on the
Yeah.
exact same frame.
Yeah.
So you would get your soul as a Sohei, so you'd be, you'd be moderately happy because you got a soul. But at the same time, your flow stopped entirely.
Yeah.
With this, if you buffer your attacks, everything goes well, you will not lose your momentum and you can keep going. So it's because it is part of Sohei's issues of losing momentum and always going back to neutral. So that's a big part of it. And last but not least, Mad Monk is massively overperforming. We were kind of okay with it because the restrictions on flows on Sohei and getting souls was super difficult. But we've now reverted the garbage vulnerability on Mad Monk to be 433 MS instead of 100. So you can no longer throw out Mad Monk, hoping you'll trade with somebody, feint at the garbage, getting guaranteed garbage, get 3 souls. That was like a really easy way of getting souls, where it's not like, that was not necessarily the full intention of this. Ended up working
For the
this
record,
way,
people,
but we're
Mad
nerfing
Monk
that
is
a
the
little bit
zone
to compensate
from
for
neutral.
the other massive buffs that he has. Again, we're gonna keep an eye on the data. Keep
Because
an eye on
what
how
people would
players
do
play
is
with
they
Sohei,
pop,
see where that
they
goes,
throw the zone, and if they try to guard
do
break,
more
they bounce
adjustments
off and you get a
if
free
need,
guard
right?
break.
So
That's kind of
there's
what
a
they
lot
were
of stuff
doing.
that I know people
but
are playing
that's
are
good they nerfed
talking
it.
about right in regards to damage. Maybe the damage on the 7-4 strike is too high. Maybe damage on the other attacks are too low. It's things that we're looking at to make sure that okay, yeah. So things that we're looking at to make sure that like the hero is balanced and is fun to play and works really well. So that's kind of like the idea here for Sohei. But this is the first step we're taking. We'll see how it pans out and see where it goes.
Nice. Awesome.
Next, we have some changes for Aramusha. So Aramusha has been
Heavy
kind of
finishers are now
been left in the
unblockable.
dust
What?
A little bit. Not
What in
necessarily
the
because
world?
the hero's bad, but just because the other heroes have gotten like a lot of big buffs, a lot of changes. So we really wanted to have a quick look at Aramusha to see what can we do
Zone
to make the
second
hero
heavy
more
can now
competitive. It doesn't
access
mean that
deadly
he's going to
feint.
shoot up the top of the tier list, but we wanted to make the hero more competitive so that it's more
Following
playable.
attacks
Like
now
it's
have increased
a bit more
forward
accessible, but also
movement,
you have a
heavy
little
opener,
more fun,
finisher
right?
openers,
So the
infinite
first big
chain
change
lights,
is that
instant
heavy
attack
finishers
trajectory
are
is
now
better,
unblockable.
match the weapon.
So just a quick
Visuals
reminder,
for
to
every
access your
attack,
heavy
increase
finishers, you have to do
attack
2
range
attacks.
for ring the bell.
You have to do like an attack and then
Jesus
the second one in the exact same
Christ!
stance, and then that's how you access your heavy
Holy!
finishers. Now,
Holy
Aramusha's heavy finishers
moly.
have what's called deadly feints, which means you can soft feint into 400 ms lights in other stances.
Right.
The problem was that you kind of had to do it. That heavy was not threatening at all. There was no pressure from it. So by making it unblockable, now you have a lot more pressure you can apply, right? You can either let that unblockable fly. Hopefully your opponent is going
my
to read that you're going to
goodness.
like change into a light in another stance and try to
Habibi,
parry it or block it or
my
whatever.
friend is going to
And then you
lose
get
his
a
marbles.
nice big chunk of damage. You can keep your chain going by using deadly feints. So really this is
That's
about pressure
crazy.
from Aramusha to let
What?
him use his tools more effectively. Right?
Oh,
It's a small change,
boy.
but it makes a big difference.
That's going to be scary.
Now, the second aspect of here that we're doing as well is that the second hit from his zone attack can now access deadly feints as well, which is super interesting. So you can do zone attack, and then the idea here is that essentially
Oh my
when Aramusha
God.
has an unblockable,
There's going to
unblockable
be
attack
so
with
many
his weapons,
Aramushas
then
now.
you can deadly feint. Right? This is how it works.
Why is
so zone
this
attack
in the
first hit, then you
testing
go second hit,
grounds?
softening the deadly feints again.
This should be in the testing grounds,
extends your
honestly.
chain. You get into stuff really well. So that's
This
really
should
good.
not be.
Again, gives them
This
more
is a little
options,
much.
more reasons to do some of these attacks. That works very well.
Nice.
We've also, as a bit of quality of life,
They
stuff
wanted
that we've done
Musha,
on
like
Hero,
he
we've
said. They
increased the
want
forward
Musha in
movement
meta, so
on all of
he
his
might be
heavy
meta
weapons,
now.
all of his heavy finishers, and all of his infinite chain.
Because his
Aramusha
bop
suffered
is
there a
really
little
good
bit
too,
where
you
He
know?
was very, very immobile. So you would throw attacks, you could barely move forward. It was really, really difficult to hit people. So this is a big thing that we've increased the movement there to give him more reach. It's a lot easier in group fights as well. You can target swap and hit other people.
Oh, you can't do
Before it
anything
was, like,
with
very,
them.
very difficult because it was very little forward movement. That wasn't the original hero
Oh
intent, by
my
the way.
goodness.
That the designer, who is no longer working on For Honor, but the guy who was working on Aramusha initially wanted to have a kind of like really tanky, immobile hero that had like fast dodges, had super fast side dodge recoveries. Everything was kind of baked in to have that sort of feeling of bursts of speed, but very, very low movement. And as the game evolved, that doesn't necessarily work as well as it did. So we're doing these kinds of changes. We've also adjusted the weapon trajectories to match the weapon visuals better on every single one of his attacks. So again, they have a bit more range
That
in
is
general. So
crazy.
if things look like they should be able to hit, they're going to hit now. So it all goes into the increased move forward movement when you do your attacks as well, to be able to hit people better externally. And even like when you're locked onto people and you target swapping, it gets a bit easier. And then last but not least, we've also increased the attack range on Ring the Bell. So basically, by attack range, I mean, it's not necessarily just for movement, but it's more at what distance are you going to register that the attack is going to land. And so we've increased that enough so that it's not like egregious where you can just like, be from super far and like land it, but it's high enough that target swapping it now is actually viable. They still need to be pretty close, but
I don't understand.
it is viable.
Like,
Before it was
I get it. They
borderline
want
impossible
they
unless
want
were,
a
like, really
meta,
locked
so they're
onto
gonna
you
overly
and
buff
they were
him for
walking
sure.
towards you and couldn't walk
And like
forward anymore.
next thing they're gonna
Then
say
you
he
can't
is a
do it.
little
Now you're
overperforming.
gonna have a bit more leeway into when you can target
I
swap
can
Ring
call
the
it
Bell
now.
and have like
He's
that,
going
that
to be
immunity specific.
overperforming.
Gotcha.
That's good there.
Nice.
And then last but not least, Pirate. So
Grand Cleaver
It's
no
one line,
longer cancel
but it's a big
its
one.
Recovery when-
so Grand Cavalier
It's a
can no
dodge.
longer cancel its recovery with a dodge. So that's side dodge heavies specifically. So I'll explain here because
That's
it's a
nerf
bit
if
different
I
than what
have
we've
it.
been doing with Berserker and with Orochi, right? So Berserker and Orochi, we removed the enhanced property on their side dodge lights. And that made sense, right? So
Oh,
you can
okay.
still do
So
them,
they
you can still
did
do
it
that sort of stuff.
with
You can still target
Pirate.
swap it. You can
No.
still go into your dodge recoveries, and it works. It's a significant nerf, and I know some people wanted to have this functionality instead, but we went a different way, and it made more sense for them because they were light attacks.
Right.
In Pirate's case, the problem is that if we make it not enhanced anymore, then it breaks the rules of heavy attacks in general in For Honor, right? Every
Right.
attacks are always enhanced, and we don't want to have like that weird inconsistency that doesn't make any sense. If and also the other thing is like we could have switched the input to a light as well and go with side dodge lights instead, so now they're no longer enhanced and it works. But then that affects Pirate in another bad way because then you can't use your gunshots after your side dodge attacks.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of knock-on effects as to if we change this aspect, this problem pops up. If we change that aspect, that problem pops up. And so ultimately, we remove the ability to recovery cancel with a dodge entirely, but only for that attack. So Pirate is still good. You can still do a lot of what you were doing before, you just can't just go spinny top constantly.
I know.
and
No
have
more
it. So
spin
it's
to win for
The
Pirate.
one issue with this, and this is what I know, that's why I'm going to be curious to see how it works. But I know players are doing, they're being aggressive by you side dodge, target swap into the attack, and then it makes your attacks really, really, really safe. And then you can re-target swap to the person that you hit, but that was not able to parry you because you were not locked onto them and go into your chain pressure. So it's a lot of complicated things. That'll still be able to happen with Pirate, but at the very least, like the hero is impacted where there's we've done the change where there's the most
Oh,
impact,
Goodness.
but at the same time, it's different than what we did for Orochi and Berserker. So it'll also let us compare the effectiveness of those nerfs
Right.
and see where we can go from there.
Nice.
So that's it for patch notes.
Cool.
But again,
Honestly, that is insane. Like, Pirate's going to drop off a lot, but I think the ganks will still be okay. Aramusha's probably going to be high A tier, maybe even S tier, depending, because his All Guard was already a menace as it is. And I'm not looking forward to that. That's going to be scary in a good Aramusha's hands. Like, it kind of depends. I think he's going to be high A, depending, because certain characters are still pretty dominant right now. Pirate was one of them. I think he might actually replace Pirate's spot. Honest, if I'm gonna be real, I think he might pass Pirate in A. I mean, because Pirate right now is high A, and I think Aramusha might have taken her spot. But that is the patch notes, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. I'm gonna be making some good content about that 2v2 soon when that drops, so I'm looking forward to that. If you guys want to see more, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.